Oh, the one that I closed?
Uh-huh.
Um, that went really smoothly, to be honest. He was just more concerned about kind of like a lot of us on this call, honestly. Started being bullshitted, but nicely, giving these broken promises
Yep.
and people don't fulfill them. And I was like, I totally get it. That's where we're different. I try to really lead with some authenticity and just be like, I understand where you're coming from. This is why, you actually are speaking to me, the CEO of this business,
Exactly.
not somebody else. I try to, be a little bit more in control with the sales calls, not just hire somebody, just go ahead and do it, and he felt a lot more comfortable about that.
Yeah, we got a lot of, I'm like, I can get marketing services or whatever from someone else. I did get service, marketing services from someone else, and I'm obviously not happy because I'm having the conversation with you.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
my concern is I don't want to jump from the devil I know to the devil I don't, and then kind of like have to start over with, with their ads, with their, whether it's pixels or what have you, because, there's a ramp up time for that
Right.
Mhm.
or what have you.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you don't mind me, excuse me.
You'll notice this is going to be a pretty big trend, in the marketplace. And one of the things that we're also doing to combat that is by just having our content like more available. Like you guys know, a lot of you guys have probably coming from the Facebook group, not everyone, but we used to use that. However, that's still a private community. So we're putting stuff on YouTube now, and we're just putting free stuff out there. And what that really does is people right now, the biggest objection they have the money. The people, trust me, they have money. That's no problem. Or they either have access to the money. They lack trust, right? And they want to work with the people that are like-minded, right? So taking like one day out of the week to make one video, 10-minute, 15-minute long video, and just over time, just like maybe putting on YouTube or putting it, you guys can run a Facebook group as well. But what that does is over time, in like a year, for example, you have like, 52 videos out there, right? And your chances of closing someone are way higher than someone else who doesn't have any presence or who doesn't have any sort of like people they want to be able to try it before they actually buy it, right? And that's a really good way of just like putting free stuff out there, no problem. And there's not, I mean, at least from my perspective, we don't like to hold anything back. It's like, here it is. And what we do is in those videos, we're very clear and upfront with people of why we're actually doing it, right? Two reasons why. Number one, the reason why we're doing this here is because we want to provide you with the results in advance. So if you choose to use some of these things, you will absolutely have success with them if you choose to use it, right? Number two is I want you to see all this to show that we're actually competent, we're actually good at what we do, and to establish trust, the trust factor here, and I want to earn your business. So I'm coming in like straight up. This is like the first 15-20 seconds of the video of like this is why I'm making this video, and then we go into the topic there. So people feel like okay, like there's no hidden. It's like everything's up front. There's the two things that I want to do. So that's something we're doing. You guys don't have to use that specifically, but it's a really good angle to start putting some stuff out there. One video a week is more than enough, and then just like making sure everyone's watching that before they hop on a call with you, right? Even anyone who becomes a lead, making sure that they're somewhat indoctrinated. And a lot of times, people what they like to do is they like to binge watch, right? They, even us sometimes, if you're like, for example, trying to buy a car or if whatever you're trying to buy, you're probably going to read a lot of articles. You're probably going to like try to go deep, right? When it comes to that, watch videos. Same concept for these people, right? They're putting a lot of money on the line, potentially their life savings at times, right? It depends on the situation, and they want to be informed, right? They want to know that where they're going to put their money. Is it going to go? Is it going to be uh, is it going to be used in the right direction, right? So that's something that I'll highly recommend for everyone. Super simple, guys. Like don't overcomplicate it. One video a week. Over time, it does the work.
But what I would say on top, no, everything that you just said is gold. But I'm saying even more at a more basic level, what I'm hearing over and over again, because Joe's doing these calls, but I'm hearing as an observer is like they're not buying our products or our services. They're
They're
buying Joe. They're buying Joe.
Absolutely, and that's
They're
one thing
buying
I
Joe.
was, I was gonna add. So not only are you showing
Yeah,
that
I need to go
competence
up my
factor, but
pray.
you're also showing character, right? A big part of this content is actually just character. Like people, people want to do business with good people, and it's not only, yeah, you have to sound competent, of course, but that's not the most important thing, guys. Like instead of focusing so much on the skill set of like, oh, I'm going to teach you this today, people are looking for something else, right? Because no one actually wants to do that themselves. You know, there's a few people, but for the most part, the people you're attracting, the people who you want to, do business with, they aren't the type of people who want, like, they're not teenagers, right? They have money, right? So they much rather pay the experts. And what are they looking for? They're looking for character, right? So that's absolutely right. That's a very good observation. And you guys will notice as well as on a lot of the sales calls, people, if they like the salesperson, they'll move forward with it. So that's also why it's super important when you have a closer to really make sure they're actually really bought into what you do, and they don't have any, they have to first sell themselves on it. That's the biggest sale they're ever going to make. Once they're able to do that, you're looking at anywhere for, once they're fully ramped, 80K plus per month each closer can potentially bring in. But yeah, I just wanted to add that in as well.
I come
No,
from the old school of thought that people buy from people, and you should never take your client for granted, because that client, in my niche, the client knows more than the salespeople, because they've done so much research in the product that they want to buy that you can't bullshit the bullshitter. Okay, so you got to listen to what they want and then just provide it. Don't take them for granted, because they're smarter than you. We might think we're the experts in what we're doing, but they're the ones making the purchase. So you got to extract that money from them. So don't be naive to the fact that you need to close the person, not the product. Just make sure you
Yeah.
make that connection, is kind of where I come from.
And I was having this conversation just yesterday with one of our closers, and I was listening to his call, and I'm, wondering, we have a script. We don't follow it religiously, but we have a good, script. And when the prospect said something, he was like, oh yeah, okay, cool. And then he moved on to the next part of the script. It's like, hold up, wait, just 1 second. Like, hear what the person is saying, like truly try to hear what they're saying, not just like, oh yeah, they said this and let's move on down the chain. People feel that, right? So it's like, have a conversation, right? Like, just like what Chris is saying here.
Yeah,
So
sometimes you don't even need to go down the line in your script in the outline. Just having a conversation and connecting with that person and knowing what the pain points are and trying to help them solve the problem, you'll close the deal even before you're even done. You'll throw the script away sometimes.
Yeah. So I had a client last week, and I'm glad we're like all in this call together like family. I consider you guys like my family. I see you every week. She was a ball buster. She really was. And I laughed because, and not to mess with you, Jordan, I'm so sorry, but the call that was like to talk less.
No, it's cool.
No, listen, I listened in, and guess what happened? I had another ball buster again on Monday.
Oh
And I
no.
was like, oh my God. But look, again, it was right here on the little sticky note of talk less. So I kind of just, I prefaced the beginning of the conversation again,
Oh,
like
no.
2 minutes later, ma'am, I just want you to know that I'm the CEO of this business. I need to ask these questions in order to know how I can assist you. What needs do you have? How can we, you can benefit out of this. And as soon as she heard that, and I kept quiet, really hard pause. Okay, go on.
At some point,
And I
you're
got my
gonna work with
question.
you're gonna be dealing with some people that just cannot be sold, because they just, and you just don't need to work with those people. You just move on to the next one. But yeah, as long as you listen
no,
to
as
it.
you know what?
Yeah.
Let me piggyback on what you just said, Chris, because it's true. No one wants to be sold.
No,
No one wants to be
they want to
sold.
be listened. They
Yeah,
want to be heard.
exactly. So I mean, Joe is really good at this or whatever, because we don't go into the conversations talking about, well, which of our services can we sell this person? No, it's
No.
tell me what your problems are, and let me see if the services that I provide can help you.
And one thing that I will tell everyone here, this is probably, I don't know if it applies to every niche, but always ask for the sale.
I mean,
Ask for it and then shut up. There could be an awkward dead silence, but whoever speaks first loses.
no, but it was one of those things with the ball buster for Joe. It came to the point where, like, listen, because the conversation became combative or whatever, and it was like, well, just tell me how much it costs. Everybody sells this stuff or whatever. What do you? It's like, listen, I'm here. I'm trying to get an honest assessment. I'm asking you these questions to see if if what we do aligns with what you need. If you want to go you know, if you want somebody to sell you this for cheaper and stuff like that, then you know what? By all means, go back on that phone call you were just on
Yeah.
and talk to them.
Yeah, because you can
I've
tell
always
them,
said
okay,
that.
so if I tell you it costs $100 and if it doesn't work, was it worth your time and your money?
No, whatever. But again, like you want to work with people you like too.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
so
You gotta connect.
if you're gonna be that person every time that we get on the phone, you know, we'd rather not.
Right.
So go.
Stress we
But
have.
she goes and she was ready to walk away, and at the point where she was ready to walk away, that's when you know they start acting right.
I had no issues in throwing people out of my dealership. You don't like what I have to sell? Go next door. I don't care.
You'll be back.
Next.
Yeah, that means next.
No, so some people are really just concerned because I've had that question asked to me a lot of times talking to people. The first thing they ask is, what's the price? They don't even ask about what the service is, how you can help them. They just automatically ask, how much does it cost how much does this cost? And their only concern is if it, they don't even, it's kind of puzzling to me because it's like, they're not concerned if it works or not. They're just concerned with the prices. If you tell them 25 cents, they're like, oh, let me jump on it. And I'm like, but does it work? Like, why are you so concerned with how much the money is? Me personally, I'm more concerned if I'm getting what I want than just the cost. Like,
Yeah,
obviously
but
the cost is a factor, but you know.
I believe that that's when you need to open the dialogue and have a conversation, not a negotiation. Just have a conversation so that you can so that they can understand. If they're not willing to listen to you, then you're fighting a losing battle. But
Did it
once you
again.
calm them down, have the conversation, find out what their pain points are, and then assess that situation. You know, because at the
Oh
end
no,
of
oh
the day, the
yeah,
price
no. If there's
the price doesn't matter. I know that whatever I'm going to charge on a monthly basis can be paid for in 2 deals. And we got 250 deals to do a month. So the money's not an issue. It's the solution that they're looking for that we want to provide. And it's our job to convince them that we are the solution. And you can only do that by having a conversation and not a negotiation. Because then you're just fighting like they were. That's my opinion.
oh no,
I'm new
I agree
here.
with
I'm new
I,
here.
I know I agree with you because like I don't really want to work with clients that are difficult. I have a person that's the lady's supposed to be working with me. We're gonna talk again like later this month. But she was very pleasant and I like that she was good to talk to and we had a good conversation. So, and she was interested in services. So I'm like, okay, I could work with her. She's like reasonable, I can talk to her. I don't want to work with somebody, even if they pay me a lot of money, that I can't talk to, that's gonna be a pain in my ass, you know? I'd rather not. It's not like this is a do or die situation for me anyway. So I'm not going to sit there and put myself in that situation to begin with. I will just, you know, tell a person you shouldn't work with me if
Yeah,
they're
because as soon
difficult.
as something goes wrong or doesn't go the way that you said it would, it's going to be another fight. So,
Of course, yeah.
But it
Yeah.
also sounds like, oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, it also sounds like what you're saying is, you know, that old adage, price is only a concern in the absence of value. Like if you provide value, it doesn't matter the cost. So it's one of those dichotomies. Like if someone's just coming at you, oh, I want the cheapest this and that. Okay, sure. Like related to Amazon. If you want to go do the Amazon mindset and have that, okay, I'm going to get the cheapest cost, then go for it. But you're not going to get the most value out of the cheapest cost.
one thing that I would have everybody write down is that a feature without a benefit is just an expense. You got to provide a benefit for the features that you're offering. That way, the value gets created at that point. If you offer a bunch of features and you don't give them the benefit, they're just going to think about how expensive it is.
Right. And Chris, like you were saying, you come from the car business. So if you show somebody, hey, this vehicle has cooled seats, air conditioned seats, well, that doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter
But
because I live
hey,
in Alaska. But what if you live in Arizona? Yeah, cool seats are
yeah, if
very
you live in
cool.
Arizona, hey, this has air conditioned seats. Okay, well, what does that matter? Well, it's black leather. Do you want to have your legs stick to the seat? No,
Right.
this will actually prevent your legs from sticking to the seat.
And
That's
so,
the
right.
benefit. The
And then on
feature
top of
doesn't
that,
matter.
you sell the automatic start. That way you can start it 5 minutes before you get into it. That way your legs don't stick.
Yeah.
And boom. Sign here.
Awesome. Love it, guys. This is what we want, right? This is part of the thing is like having this collaborative community. So absolutely love it. Any other specific questions or anything that you guys may have? I just want to make sure I get to everyone here.
Um, so Zora, I have a question. If somebody, is it ever okay to just to give the person the price that they ask? Is that ever a good method to use? Because I had somebody that's like a broker, he's an insurance broker, and he was contacting me through LinkedIn, and he was asking, he said he was interested. He asked, "What's your price? What's the price and stuff like that?" And I don't know if if it's good to just come off like that. Like I don't think it's a good idea to just say the price right away and not have a conversation first, because some people just say, how much does it cost? And those kind of conversations are like, I'm like, why don't they don't want to hear me say what I'm doing and what's the offer is. They just want to hear the price off the bat, like, oh, how much is it? I'm like,
So,
so that's
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, John.
oh, Jordan, what's your niche? Out of curiosity. Sorry, I'm new.
life insurance agents.
Okay, and you're a life insurance agent?
No, I've helped them in the past. I've worked as like a screener to help insurance agents.
Okay. So one of the things I'm a licensed life and health insurance agent in multiple states. Um, put it back on him would be my recommendation, because no good life insurance agent, no life insurance agent worth any commission is going to just go, okay, hey, here's what's best for you, sign here. Here's what it costs. They're going to have that conversation to begin with. So if there's any life insurance agent out there who just does the, okay, here's the cost, sign here, they're not worth working with.
Oh yeah,
In
he
my
was.
personal opinion.
Yeah, the person that contacted me, he was asking me, tell him more about the service and how much it costs or whatever like that. So I guess I would just start off with, because he was asking me what is the service I provide and how much is it, and he was actually the CEO of the company. He wasn't a regular agent. He was a broker and he owned the company. And apparently he makes like millions of dollars.
Well, you know
He
what the
wasn't like a
problem?
regular
Well,
person.
he's making millions of dollars off of his agents, but did you ask him that do his agents give out the price to their customers before he has a chance to pitch his product?
No, I didn't get it. No, because the conversation started through LinkedIn, and the thing with me is I don't like giving a bunch of information through messaging. I think it's not personal.
Jordan, then don't.
Yeah.
If I were you, I would be like, if you have 10 minutes to spare, I could take this onto a really quick call with you right now and
Mhm.
explain my services to you. I
Yeah,
would say
and
just like
one thing
that,
you can.
because that 10 minutes that you're trying to sit here, message back and forth, is a 10-minute phone call where you could possibly have a sale because you're selling them with what you're saying. You're going to talk about your value right there.
Yeah,
And
that's
Jordan,
what I want to do. I want to talk to them and not
you always want to
message
tell
them.
the customer. You always want to position things in a way where it's like for the customer, right? So it's like,
Okay.
I wouldn't want to overcharge you here. So is it okay if I just understand your goals? Right?
Hmm.
So it's just make it on them. It's like I don't want to overcharge you here. And then there's like it's just the frame just just comes back to you. So I don't blame again.
Okay.
You cannot view anything what people say of like blaming them or anything like that. It's just how the market is, right? Again, what we were talking about earlier. People are sick and tired of just the things that are in the market, and they're just like trying to see, okay, what's the price, they think everybody's doing the same things, but no, they're like not everyone's doing the same things. Like you guys have your own individual agencies. You guys are experts in this specific in the areas that you guys are, right? So really making sure that we have that frame and be very strong about it. And if they keep pushing back, you can do a couple things. Like one of the things, sometimes we do give a range. So for us, it's like, yeah, we start off. I mean, again, like people don't really like this answer, but it's the truth. We start off from anywhere from 2,500 to 50K. Like we have clients who paying us 2,500 to all the way to 50K. 50K is when we fly them out. So we just kind of position it a little bit of like, this is a little bit what goes into it. But based on your specific goals, it's very hard for me to give you a blanket, thing. So if they continue to
Makes
push
sense.
back, maybe it's just better not to even take the call. Be like, you know what?
Got
I don't think.
gotcha.
No worries. Yeah.
One of the things
Gotcha.
that's helped me, not in this area yet, but I always go back to the, hey, that's a great question. That's exactly why we're talking. Let's set up a phone call. And if it's on a phone call, that's a great question. That's exactly why I'm calling. Because that gives me a reason to sit in front of them. Because I know if I sit in front of somebody, like my close ratio versus, hey, let me have a quick phone call, 5-minute phone call with you, other than like sitting with you, whether it's Zoom or having an actual scheduled phone call, is completely different. So just saying something as simple as, hey, that's a great question. That's exactly why we're going to set up a meeting. That can make a huge difference.
Yeah, and you can also do a pre-frame, right? So I know we touched on this a lot, but just I see a new faces, so I just want to remind you guys. You guys can always shoot a pre-call video, right? In that pre-call video, it just gives them the frame of like, okay, this is what I can expect going on to the call when you're gonna have that call with them. And this is one of the things, if like you mentioned, that we don't just give services just to give them. It's like we're trying to solve a specific problem that you have, and and there's so many examples, right? It's like imagine this, right? By the way, you know what? I'm gonna drop a book and I'd love for all you guys to get it. It's one of the best sales books, even though it's not a sales book, but it's a very good book to use, and it's just filled with analogies, right? Like a lot of times you can overcomplicate things, especially for people who are more logical. And like I'm talking to myself first. A lot of people they don't really understand sometimes, right? They need a different angle. So really using analogies can do the trick here, right? So I'll drop the link for the book here, but basically it's like, imagine going to a doctor and the doctor just looks at you and says, "Cool, here's a list. Buy these medicines." Like, would you be like, "Hey, like, you know what I mean? Like, what's this antibiotic? Like, you know what I mean?" It just make no sense. So sometimes feel free to slap these people around. It depends. Like if they're actually like being so aggressive with you, just go for it. Chris loves it, right? Yeah. Like you guys always remember you're the prize. Always remember that, right? And then people, when you position things like this, when they see your demeanor, they're like, all right, I need to respect this person, right? And then you go from there.
I had that case happen to me when I was working as a transfer representative as a virtual assistant. I had a guy like arguing on the phone about the insurance, and as soon as I made him be quiet and I started talking, he was like, "Oh," he was like, "You know what? I like your, I like your response." At first, I was gonna like, hang up or whatever like that, but I like how you responded, and I was able to transfer him and get commission because I just made the customer be quiet. I just said, "Listen, this is how it works," and I explained it to him as he kept babbling, and I just told him to just, let me just explain how it works. And when he heard how it worked, he was like, "Oh, I'm convinced now that you know what you're talking about." And
The
he was
silent treatment works very well as well.
You want to elaborate on that, Chris?
let them run out of air.
Yeah.
And you'll hear them talking.
That's a really, yeah.
At some point they're gonna be like, and then
a lot of times
stay there. And you
just
go, okay, man.
and
Now
you can just use the mute button. Literally mute. Let them. Right. A lot of times these people maybe they have frustration or whatever it is. Let them put it out. And sometimes it'll be very awkward, right? It's like, "Hello, you there?" It's like, "Yeah, I'm listening."
yeah,
Mute.
exactly.
Just let them. It's for their benefit, right? Because sometimes because anything you say, they're not listening to it.
We have to understand that these people have a lot of frustration. They're trying to run businesses, they're trying to run offices, they're trying to meet quotas, and trying to spend money on something that they don't know if it's going to work without listening to the pitch is even more frustrating. So you're there to calm that down. You're going to be their counselor. You're their babysitter. So, just let them vent. They're going to end up talking about how their babysitter did something, and then you bring them back. But let them vent. Don't give them half an hour. Give them 5 minutes. And then just say, "Okay, are you going to shut up now?"
Yeah, I've been cursed out on the phone. I actually got quiet. I sat quiet and listened. They were calling me every curse word in the book. This was when I was a virtual assistant. They were like cursing me out on the phone, and I just sat there and just let them curse. They cursed up for like 5 minutes. They were cursing, and I was like, "Okay, let me just listen to all the stuff they're gonna say." They listed every profanity you could imagine. They were saying it on the phone.
Yeah,
I was like, "Okay."
There's no way this Mexican was gonna take all that. No way.
And guys, the pre-call stuff can help. There's one more thing that I'll add and this is something we just started to experiment. So we're not going to roll it out until we actually prove it for ourselves. But basically it is after someone books in a call, it's a little short form. And what that form is designed to do is just to establish their level of desire. So we as a company currently, and this is happening as well, like in the marketplace, like a lot of our friends, our show rates has been like pretty low. Like the show rates has just been tanked. It's been one of the worst since pretty much, or ever since like this high ticket space has existed. So one of the things we incorporated is this. It's an assessment. Have you guys, has anyone here filled out like the financial freedom assessment yet? Any of our clients here? You, Bianca.
Financial
Okay,
freedom.
perfect. Yeah, we just rolled it out, so it's probably for the new people only. But basically, what that does is there to establish more desire in them to like they number one, not only are there do they have the desire to show up to the call, but also to take it more seriously, because right now capturing people's attention is everything, right? Like their attention is so limited. They're hopping on from this thing to that thing, social media, right? We know what's going on, so it's like our job is to try to establish that level of desire, that level of motivation. Also, what we like to do in that is to ask some pretty hard questions, right? And then those questions, as soon as like someone's typing it out, it's there. The only reason we do look at it, but it's more for the client than it is for ourselves. It's like when they start typing it out, they're like, oh man, like I actually never thought about this, right? And again, it's like these are the small little things that are going to set your company apart from everyone else, right? Chances are, right, not everyone, but a lot of the people that you guys are going to be hopping on calls with, they're not only looking at you as an option, they have other agencies as well, right? So if like we add these small little things, right? Again, we talked a little bit about that content, putting things on YouTube or Facebook group, whatever it is, but having that pre-call stuff, they're having a little bit of that, that assessment form that increases desire and motivation. These are the small things that people are going to remember you with, right? So that will frame you in a way where when they hop on a call with you, they aren't there's always gonna be a small percentage of people who don't care, who don't go through those things for sure. But overall, you're just trying to increase your chances of having good quality prospects coming in to your calls, and you having that authority, that you having that frame, because you can't really, if you have to have that leadership frame in order to sell. So that's
If you
something we're experimenting on, and we'll share with the exact details if we do see improvements. So far, looking pretty good, but I just want to be sure before we roll it out for our clients.
I think
So,
you will see improvements, because if you pre-frame and preset the expectation, people already know exactly what they're going in and in what situation and what position, and then nothing surprises them when the sales call starts.
100%.
I have a question, Zarar. So on this form you're speaking of, is there like any sort of like skip logic? Like it could ask follow-up questions depending on how you answer it. Like if it asks a question like, for say, are you happy with your current income? Yes or no? And if you say no, will it say what's the reason why, and ask follow-up questions to the person? Does it do stuff like that? Like ask like follow-ups?
I'd say just make it simple. Like we do like multiple six figures a month, and we don't like, it's just pretty simple. But we do have questions like that. So it's like, specific questions like what, I can maybe even just pull it up, but it's like, why do you feel like if they have a goal, they want to make X amount of money, for example, why do you feel like you're not there yet? Right? And then it's like we leave a paragraph. There's no multiple choice because we want them to type. We want them to feel like, like they're in a situation, right? Because most of these people, like there's just dopamine after dopamine, right? This thing, that thing, this event, like people forget of how shit their lives actually even are, right? So it's like, man, if we just have these people hop on a call without any of this stuff, number one, they're not even gonna show up maybe to the call, right? And number two, if they do, it's like, what's your price? That's all they care about. They don't even care about they don't care about nothing. It's just the price, right?
It's exactly what John was saying. You put it back on them. Make people accountable for the action that they're about to take.
And then one very important thing, Jordan, and this is for everyone. It's
Okay.
not like sales is not about collecting credit card. That's just number one sale. Number two is making sure, for example, they don't refund. Number three is actually them taking the actions they need to take in order to have the success that they want, right? So it doesn't stop there, right? And again, it's like if you just give them the cheapest, if we only focus in on the price, they're less likely to follow through some of the things that we need them to, because we're running their business. This is not like some click one button and you're going to be a billionaire. No, it's not like that. Right? So
Wait, can I sign up for that?
we're partners, right? We're partners with them, and you want to frame it like that. That we need your corporation, we need your help here. If you're not going to give us, for example, logins for 3 weeks, we can't do much for you, man. Right? So it's just pre-frames and reframes is everything.
Gotcha.
Also, Jordan, like the people that you're working with, the life insurance agents, like I know every time I do a life insurance policy, it's a big deal for me. Now, I'm not saying it's a big deal because I don't do enough of them. It's a big deal because I know what I'm going to have to do in the next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years on it. because typically I don't write just a term life insurance policy like, hey, you need to pay off your mortgage if you pass away. No, I'm writing life insurance policies for your financial freedom. So I know that if I take somebody on as a life insurance client, it's a lot of work. Where there's life insurance clients I have that 3 times a month I'm reviewing their policy because that's
Wow.
what it takes to make sure that their policy is performing the way that I said that it would. Now, I
Yeah.
had that conversation with them like, hey, you're not going to have to worry about this. I'm your guy, right? Like I'm your
Yeah.
financial professional. I'm the one who's helping your retirement out.
Yep.
So I'm going to call you when the time is right and we're going to have another conversation. But I know that I'm going to have to, every life insurance policy I write, for whole life or universal life that is for a retirement situation or some sort of financial planning, that I have to do a lot of work. So you can put it back on them because any life insurance agent worth his or her salt is going to do at least once a month, like, hey, let's look how this is going. Like, put it back on them. Say, well, if I were your client, what would you do?
Oh, that's a good
Because yeah, it's one of those where I don't I don't just sign anyone up for a life insurance product for a financial like under 7702 of the tax code for any reason. Like I'm very particular. Not all life insurance agents are like that. You're not necessarily going to want the ones who aren't because they're not going to be in the business in 5 years. They're not going to be in the business in a
one.
year.
They won't have
But
any clients probably. Their
John
clients
John
won't.
speaks of
Yeah.
two of my favorite core values, and that's integrity and attention to detail. That's very important, John. Good job. I think I'm gonna like you.
Thank you, Chris.
Awesome. All right. Any other specific topics or questions that you guys may have?
Um, do I have any particular topics?
Like
No,
any.
I was earlier today. I noticed in LinkedIn that there's an option on Ulink to export the files and stuff like that. But I decided to like put things on a spreadsheet because I wanted to put my own custom questions. Like what I did was I noticed that I had people contacting me that were from different time zones. So I was like, if I'm going to call these people, I need to make sure I know what time zone they're in compared to mine. So I call them or contact them at the right time. And I put a list of people, and I actually screened it because I noticed that Ulink was getting some client people that weren't who I was looking for. So I read through every lead and made sure that they were actually life insurance agents from the description, and I broke it down. And Christian was wondering why I was using like a spreadsheet, and I was telling him I like to. I don't know if that's a bad thing to do because like me, I'm kind of old fashioned in a way. I like to get a calculator out and put all of my things on like a spreadsheet, Excel sheet, or even like I have an iPhone and I use the notepad and I do mystery shopping on the side as like a contractor work and to get like free lunch and stuff. And I actually track my miles that I drive for the whole year on my iPhone. And at the end of the year, I go through every date and I calculate it on a calculator and write it off my taxes. And I do it manually. And that's how I've been doing it for years. But he was asking about the CRMs
Yeah,
and use
I
it
mean, you can
most.
always, when it comes to these things, Jordan, like do what works best for you. Like we may have good best practice, but that's for ourselves, right? Who you are, or you're a different person, but just know what we're trying to do, like the idea behind it, the philosophy behind it, how you go about like the small little details. I mean, you're the CEO of your business, right? You can do
Of
whatever.
course, yeah.
Yeah. So what was your specific question? It was in regards to.
Oh, I mean, like the recommendations. Is it? I mean, you just kind of answered it. You said it's okay. It doesn't really, not really a
Yeah,
super big
these
deal.
things are micro, right? It's like, yeah.
One thing I will say, Jordan, and just take it with a grain of salt. I'm just some schmuck up here. I don't know what I'm doing. The newest one on the board, but um, I do have some experience with tracking mileage, tracking all of that. Once you get to a level where your time is very valuable, right? Like
Yeah.
that's a one money comes and goes. I will 100% contest to that, that money will come and go. But my time, all the time I wasted in my 20s, early 30s, all of that, like that's all gone. So one of the things I did was actually it didn't take long, 20 minutes to figure out something new, like mileage, Mile IQ. It's built into Quick QuickBooks, I believe.
QuickBooks. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's it saves me for the 5 minutes it took me to learn how to work it. It saved me probably about 4 hours
Wow.
in total last year.
That's a
So
lot.
yeah, because I wrote off what, like 6 grand worth of mileage last year
Yeah.
on my taxes. So you'll get to a point where you want to use the tools that I provided. Like, yeah, I can drill a hole with a screwdriver. It's possible. I'd rather use a drill.
It makes
I
sense. Yeah,
m-
that makes sense.
yeah, my time's more valuable than that.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah, I probably need to, I guess, alter some things that I do in a way, like change some things around, make it more effective.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be right now. Just when you're comfortable, when you have that realization, like, oh, hey, I'm spending too much time on XYZ. Let me try to make it more efficient. I mean, that's the reason I'm doing this, is because like my time's more valuable than looking for clients. My time's more valuable in front of a client.
Gotcha.
100%.
Makes sense.
Awesome. Anything else I can help you guys with?
The link of the book.
Oh yeah. I believe it's called The Lady with the Iceberg or something like that. Let me just drop it. The Tall Lady with the Iceberg, that's what it's called, by Ann Miller.
The tall lady with the iceberg.
I'll drop the link for you guys here.
Is it a fictional book?
No, it just has a lot of analogies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And you guys can start using this in your personal life as well. Just watch things like a lot of problems are going to be solved. Like a lot of complex problems can be solved with like simple analogies.
Oh, cool.
Just always know that there's selling going on every day. Either your wife sells you on you need to buy her a new purse, or your son's gonna sell you on you buying a new PlayStation game, or you're selling someone. Someone's being sold every day.
Yep. Sales is a way of life.
In
It's not,
every appointment, there's a close.
yeah, 100%. Rifat,
Hey there. Okay, so quick question regarding LinkedIn. So as you know, I have a separate account set up due to the full-time job and whatever not. So that separate account, um, I've labeled it as like a marketing manager for our organization. But as I'm connecting with people and having conversations, I'm also going to start like putting some content out there. But it doesn't have that same authority. I guess I'm just thinking it doesn't have that same authority, right? As a founder or a co-founder, as my core LinkedIn profile, I'm not necessarily putting this company out there right now. So, what are your thoughts about that? Any suggestions or feedback as to how I should approach this? Because it's a separate account, right?
yeah. So your question is basically like your LinkedIn profile. You feel like it doesn't look as strong as it could.
Yeah, I mean,
All right.
yeah, I just don't know how important it is to start
It's
posting, like you said, like the content, right? The value creation, right? That's important. That authority is important. So I'm trying to navigate that right now, and yeah, so
so
interested in your thoughts.
yeah. My friend, Cole Gordon. You guys may have heard of him. He was making like 800 grand without even a website. Like, and this is an extreme example that I'm just using. So it's micro, to be very honest with you. And when we like, even us, like we had our Facebook, even if you guys take a look at our Facebook page, there's nothing really there. There's like 2 posts on there. Yeah, I mean, it only helps for sure, but it's micro. It's not as major as like being like a marketing manager versus a co-founder. It's kind of micro. The biggest thing is get them on a call, and then the sales skills will should be able to do the job there. So it only helps content wise, but the little title, that's really not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. Now, when you start getting bigger, like for example, one of the things that we're now feeling a little bit of struggle with is like, okay, now people, like we're going to the masses. We get dozens of calls booked in per day, and people search us up, and they're like, we don't find much stuff on you. It's like, okay, cool, we get it now. Now we need to start incorporating some of those things. But what happens is, what most people do, they focus too much on that back end before they even focus on trying to create the demand, right? So there's going to be a time where, yeah, you need to focus a little bit on the brand. You need to focus on some of these small things. But the time is like after you're making like multiple six figures a month, and then you're really trying to scale to like seven figures a month, right? That's when the switch usually happens. But at zero, man, like none of this stuff really matters. You're only, it's like laser focus in, how can I generate leads? How can I generate calls? And then how can I close them? That's the main focus. And then what's going to happen is fulfillment, that's going to break. You plug that in, everything, there's always going to be a constraint on every situation, right? And then it's like different phases to it. So yeah, in short, it's pretty micro.
Thanks.
Cool.
And I feel like I'm speaking too much, but I can tell you from my personal experience, like I looked at lead generation, everything, and I didn't research them. I didn't care what their site said. I didn't care any of that. I cared about the conversation. So I'm going to agree with the guru here that it's more on that conversation that you're having.
Yeah, one thing you guys can do though is like make some videos, because like we had a client, we launched like a VIP offer, and we had him flown out here. I think maybe some of the new people who signed, who came here, maybe you guys saw that video, but basically we documented the whole journey, and the video's not even fully edited. We just have the first draft. And when people saw that, like that video is just taking off. It's just first draft. Like there's so many mistakes in it. The editors are working on it, but we just started experimenting with that, and we realized like, oh, this is what people need. Sure, like reading is good, but like people want to see, they want to be able to meet you without like physically. Like what's the next best thing? Virtual, right? So like they can see our personality, they can see who we are, and then what's going to happen is naturally there's going to be some people who are turned off by it. No problem, right? It's like no worries. And there's some people who are like, oh, those are my people. I want to be there. And where we live in is abundance mindset. We're not living in a mindset of like, oh, we have to chase it. Like, no, we know how we think. We know the people that we want to attract, and the people who don't, like, who are not good fits, no worries either way, right? So like having maybe some sort of videos out there that really, again, same thing we're talking about, that shows who you are as a person, that trust factor, competence, and the character building side of things. People are going to be very, very attracted to that versus just a title, right? Because like, again, everyone, just think about it, right? Everyone's just getting bombarded by the chairman or the CEO or all these big things, but not too many people have some sort of videos out there, right? And this quick once a week or so, 10-minute long type of thing,
That video was pretty good, and especially because it was pretty raw. So
you saw it, Chris?
Yeah.
Yeah. How was it from a client's perspective?
Genuine is
Yeah.
the one word that I would say. It's genuine. I could, as an observer of watching all kinds of VSLs everywhere and trying to find the right opportunity for the last 5-6 years. The genuine part that you guys, you, Christian, and Zamo,
Yeah.
just by the way you guys came off in that video was kind of what got me going.
Really? Yeah. And I mean, this is like, raw in front of you guys. So this is the same stuff that your clients are also going to feel, right? So like, let's do whatever we can that's in our power to give them the, that level of stuff. And what we believe in is like, we have like a degree of responsibility. We know what we have. We know it's so valuable, and we know people need it. And what we believe in is we have, like, there's people out there that have been waiting their whole lives to meet us and to do business with us, right? So we're doing them a disservice. Like if we don't showcase who we are, we're doing them a disservice, right? If they don't trust us, or if they have all these things in their mind about us, there's nothing wrong with that, because again, we see how the market is, but it's our responsibility to showcase them like, no, we're actually different, and to do whatever we can that's in our control, right? So that's one of the things. I mean, we literally just pretty much, one of the reasons why we rolled that offer out for was like, let's showcase people who we actually are. And yeah, we just got the camera crew,
But I
showing those.
think the video also needs to be only shared with the people that you want to work with.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we don't even have it public. It's just like to the people that we're like, all right, this person maybe really needs it. So yeah, that's pretty much what it's for. So yeah, I'd highly recommend you guys to start getting in a little bit. And I mean, the use cases of this is huge, especially when you have like paid ads or even LinkedIn, and then combined with this content machine, it just takes off. And one of the things that I just want to bring up is the market is always evolving, right? In the beginning, like maybe 2012, 13, you could just run paid ads without any sort of conditional guarantee, without anything. It could be a curiosity based angle, so like super basic, like one liner, and your return on ad spend can be like 40x because it was so new. There was no one there. But the market is adapting, right? So like there's a lot more people. Now you have to get more sophisticated. And what we view this is like it's a very good thing that's happening because this is what really separates the people who are fakers or who actually like who are just trying to hustle people out versus the people who are actually good. So it's getting harder and harder, but it's getting easier for the people who are actually good, right? So that there's always going to be those pros and cons there.
It's kind of like the proof is in the pudding, and it kind of separates you from the bunch.
100%. Yep. And again, it's like we can't ever blame how the market is. The market is the market, right? We need to get better, right? What are some of the things that we can control on our end? That's all that really matters. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Couple last minutes here. Anything else you guys want me to talk about? No, we're good. By the way, I love this collaborative session. You guys, amazing. Like this is the stuff we want, right? Like people collaborating, people communicating with each other, and a lot of times it's like one person may say something the other person is thinking about, they never said it, and they'll get the clarity there, right, as well. So this is what we love. This is what we love doing. This is one of the reasons why we pretty much launched LMA, because we didn't have these types of communities back when we were there. Rifat.
So quick follow-up to that, right? Like in terms of that genuine connection and getting out there and having like native videos and things like that. For I guess do you have any references from like or suggestions, right, from previous clients like in a similar situation as us, who's kind of in the midst of a full-time position, doing a transition, has to be very mindful of what they're putting out there and not raise any red flags? Because I would love to kind of do what you're saying, but I can't do that right now. Obviously, I can use like thief a bit, but even with that said, like, what would your suggestion be in that type of situation?
So let me ask you this before we go into that. What can happen if is it like you have like NDA with your business or something, or with your job?
Yeah, so I mean, there's been issues that have arisen from others in the past, but so it has come up as an issue, not particularly, well, let's say for myself, but one of my other team members a couple of years ago. So there is that hesitation. Hey, what are you, why are you out there? What do
So
you,
yeah,
so there's
why
some
not just?
concerns around that.
I completely understand, right?
Yeah.
Corporate, right? Is it a corporate job?
Yeah, it is. It is.
So why not just use Seif? Because I took a listen to your guys' what do you call it? I think his pre-call. You
Yeah.
can talk like really, really strong. So
Yeah.
why not just have him as like the face of it? And then you guys can do again. I listened to your sales calls as well with that one person that you guys had, and position him as like the front face. He can talk.
Yeah.
He knows marketing. He knows these things, and you can just be the ops or like the in the background for now. And then once you guys are at a certain revenue point, then maybe you can transition out and kind of go from there. You always usually want to have at least one person be that face of the brand.
So like, for example, even, so he has a separate, what's it called, offer, right? So like even on, let's say LinkedIn. So if we're looking to frame or reframe his personal brand, it kind of gets tricky with that, right? Because the offer that he has on LinkedIn is specific to this other offer. So I don't know, give any thoughts on that.
I get it, but why not have two accounts and just like have one for that specific offer, have another one for the digital marketing agency?
Yeah, I mean, if you recall, like we had issues with that whole separate account stuff that was built out, right?
So, out or no?
What's that?
Did you guys get that figured out?
So thank God we actually did, but it's through a separate name, and like we basically went down the route of buying another computer, buying another phone. That conversation that we had a few weeks ago, I guess maybe a month ago, And so, luckily that worked. Like we were able to get an account live without any issues. But now it's a different face and it's a different name, and that can't be changed, right? So it gets tricky.
Okay, no problem. So
Yeah.
by the way, guys, like, welcome to business. Welcome to being a business owner. These are the things that this is just how it is. So always get creative though, right? It's like, okay, cool. Someone else's account. I mean, if you guys can't change that name, you guys can't do it. You guys can be like, page is run by Seif, or like an angle like, oh, Seif is their spokesperson. You know, like, there's always a way out. Like, there is no problem on earth, we believe, besides death or health issues that we can't solve as entrepreneurs, right? So just use that. Like, there's
But
always
I
a way.
can help with those, by the way.
There we go. And then to use the community.
This guy
Sure,
trying to
John. With
the side
go
hustle
ahead.
in there too. But I was just wondering, is there a possibility as far as for like doing a VSL but utilizing somebody else and just saying, hey,
You know what? I'm
our
actually-
team.
Yeah,
blah,
I'm
blah,
actually
blah,
gonna do a training on this. So we've been also experimenting with something called a deck VSL, right? Because one of the things that whenever we try to push people, like, our clients, to do a VSL, sometimes, they don't want to be on camera for various reasons. So we understand that. So we have experimenting with a deck VSL. What that is just slides. So it's a lot of slides though. So it's like maybe 30, 40, 50, even 80. It depends on like what your specific offer is. And we're gonna go ahead and teach it of like, what's on each slide. We'll give like a good template on that. But basically it's like your whole offer just in words. So it's like you can have your little picture there, and people are clicking themselves. So they're like clicking to the next one, they're reading it, and that's actually working as well as a VSL, according to the test so far. So that's something that we want to also incorporate for you guys. And
No, but not just that, but like actually having a person like talk, like in Rafat and Steve's case, where they have these accounts that could potentially, and as far as what job wise, be an issue. Have you seen being a problem as far as with having maybe just you hire somebody and you just say as like part of our team, blah, 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 and you just somebody kind of representing
I
the
wouldn't
team?
do that. No, the thing is that, like, there's no passion there. They have no equity, and you can't hire passion. Like, they have to like really have it, and the person who's gonna have it the most is gonna be the business owner, right? So
I was just gonna say, yeah, no, we don't have any issues with like him being on screen or anything like that with the VSL and the ads even, but it's more so just like that LinkedIn. And so I'm curious, like you said, maybe we're using our the new LinkedIn account that we created, and then somehow like sharing, he's a spokesperson on there and sharing I guess like the
why not?
videos.
Guys, like, this stuff is micro. If I'm being very honest with you, there's always, I know it doesn't sound micro, but when you actually run it, it's like, oh, like nothing happens. So get creative. The biggest thing is like, what's your high leverage activities as a CEO to do, right? It's like talking, like being the front face in the beginning is creating demand. So I want to let an account hinder what we want to do there, right? So get aggressive there. Well, however you want to position it, just get yourself out there in the beginning. Later on, then, when you have the funds, you guys can do whatever it is, but I would not let something like this stop us. Yeah.
All right.
Cool. All right. Anything else, guys? We're good?
Yep. All good.
Jordan, did you feed your birds? What is that?
I don't know what that is. I don't have a bird. I was hearing the same thing. I was like, what is that sound? I don't have a bird. So
Well, you do
It's
now.
coming from my end.
oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
Only outside by you. Okay.
Yeah. I have the window open here.
Speaking of birds, I'm babysitting a dove right outside my back door. There's a pot that just had like dirt in it, and all of a sudden we see an egg in there, and we're like, what the hell? And so I saw a bird on top of the egg, and then it flew away, and then I came back and there's 2 eggs.
Wow.
So I'm just like a little 13-year-old looking through the blinds and looking at the bird just throwing up the egg. So hopefully in 2 weeks we'll have babies.
There we go. All right, guys. Very nice chatting with you guys. We'll go ahead and communicate next time, and we're gonna have some cool new updates, as well as let us know what you guys need help with specifically in advance as well. If there's a specific topic that you guys want to go into, again, we're open book here, and yeah, just use the community, use each other, use our coaches, use us as much as you guys need. There isn't a problem that we can't help you guys with. All right.
Thank you,
All right, cool.
John.
Take care.
Thanks.